And we are live. Just waiting for it to show up over here, and we're going to get going. Let the folks start joining. Here we go. Just waiting for it to show up, and we are moving. All right, here we go. We got a couple folks joining, so I don't see it over here, but we're rocking. Here we go. Folks, what's going on? Jerry A. Thompson here. I am the host of the Pivot Play podcast. So, thank you for those who are starting to join. We're going to jump right in. We got a lot of ground to cover because this is the first of two, maybe three, maybe more artificial intelligence episodes. This is something we need to talk about. So, let's jump into it. So, first, I want to do a little housekeeping here. Letting some of you all know, because I think some people are like, well, you don't, you're not posting as much or have as many episodes. So a couple things. One is there's a lot of content out there. I think there's enough content I've put out there that you could, make some stuff happen, right? You're trying to improve some area of your life. You're trying to, increase your earnings. There's a lot of content out there. So you'll notice I'm actually putting out a lot more sort of short 1.5 minute, 2 minute snippets, small things that nibbles that you can actually start to work with right then. So everything doesn't have to be these long form 30-minute, hour-long episodes. It's a lot, but this topic is actually going to require that. So again, for those of you who are starting to come on, please like and please share. That's kind of the way that Facebook works, the way that YouTube works. So please do that. You'll help us out a great deal. So I appreciate it. So again, there's a lot that's out there, and so one of the other reasons is, I have other things I'm working on, so I'm not just on here talking about stuff. I'm actually doing stuff. So I'm diving back into looking at another real estate project potentially, and then on the other hand, there's still. I'm gonna show you a couple things here. There's still this line that we're managing, the Live Free line. So those of you who are interested in that, you can head on over to www.livefreeinspirations.com, and you can grab you some Live Free gear. You can grab the mugs, and I'm trying to see how to get this on the camera the right way. So I have my, and here's what I'll tell you I found out about these cups. They don't just hold coffee and tea. They will hold any liquid that you put in them. So there's that. Highly functional when it comes to things like that. So we have that. So you may want to avail yourself of that. And then another one that we've been working on for a while is the Golf for Lifeline. So we are right there. The last step I thought was to make sure that we had the trademark in hand, that we're doing good business. But now we have to just work out the logistics. What we didn't want to do is open up the site and people are placing orders and then they're waiting a couple weeks before we even ship, because I'm traveling all over the place. So we need to handle that to make sure that we can provide excellent customer service. And while we're talking about golf, this is the other thing I'm working on. This is the Ultimate Weekend Warrior Scoring Blueprint. I started on this book a while ago, but we're finally getting down to the last part. So that's actually with an editor now. Hopefully have that back by the end of the week, and then we can get through the next phases of that to make that one available. And just because why not be busier? It's working on the principles of the Live Free Lifestyle Volume 1. So that is actually out now to a small group of pre-readers, sort of a focus group, looking at the first half of the book and getting their feedback before I sit and write everything that's going to go in the second half. But this will actually be more of a guide than anything else, a series of articles, just kind of walking through certain principles, observations, things that I live by. So there will be probably 3 volumes. I'm thinking at least 3 volumes of this. And then there's going to be one called The Live Free Leader that I'm really anxious to get to. So, with that, if you're wondering why I'm not all just putting up episodes all the time, that would be the reason why, is because, I'm not just talking the talk, I'm walking the walk as well. So all the things that I talk to you all about are the same things that I have to manage through and deal with, and it's all the same stuff. Nobody's exempt. So oftentimes when you do see me post, it really is coming from a place of where am I in terms of my experience and what I'm dealing with. And so I try to be transparent with you all. So I appreciate that. And then finally, the other thing is I'm at a place where I'm trying to figure out kind of really what my voice is, and wondering if, places like Facebook is really the forum for what I want to do. So you might start seeing more on YouTube. You may actually see a Patreon group may come around, and the Patreon component, which is a subscription-based deal, is not about making the money. It's just that, Facebook and Instagram and these other platforms get to make a lot of decisions about who sees what. Like if you look, there's a few hundred of you who are members of the Pivot Play podcast group on Facebook, and oftentimes people don't even see that this stuff is out there. So there's that. And so to not be censored and to not have some of these other challenges, there's other things I want to talk about. There's other conversations on race, there's conversations on money, there's conversations on spirituality, some training I want to do, and some of that stuff is just not for just any old person who happens to be, browsing around on social media. These are deep topics. Some I'm sure I will come under some scrutiny for, and I just don't have time for that. I'm here to talk to who I'm supposed to talk to, help who I'm supposed to help, and the rest of it, I'm not trying to be in a situation where people are like, we're going to cancel you. Well, first of all, I'd probably have to care, which I really don't. But I don't want to do anything that would keep me from being able to reach the people that I'm intended to help. So that's why we are where we are. So all that said, let's get ready for what we're about to do here, and really get into this artificial intelligence conversation. So again, if you haven't done so, please please share. I certainly appreciate that. The algorithm needs that. In order for people to even know that we're out here doing this, that has to happen. So please and please share. That'll help us a ton. And so as we get into this conversation, I encourage you to do 2 things. One is take notes. It's going to be a lot. You're going to hear terms that you may not know. Don't let that turn you off. Don't let that run you away. Google is your friend. YouTube is your friend. There's ways for you to find this stuff out. We're going to try to break down as much of this as we can to make this as simple and, more importantly, as usable as possible for you. That's the only reason that we're doing this. I'm not here to impress you with how much I know, because I really could just take all that I'm doing and just go do my own thing and keep succeeding and making money and doing what I do. But I just have a heart for people. I believe in the power of human potential and these amazing gifts that we are and what we're able to do. So I want to be able to play my part in that. So please take notes, write down terms you don't know, and then use the chat. Ask questions. Everything that you put out there, everything that you put out there, I'll be able to see. And so if you ask a question, we'll do our very level best to answer it. If we don't know, we'll tell you that, maybe point you in a good direction. But again, appreciate the hearts and the thumbs up already. So with that said, I looked around for who I could have this conversation with. There's not a lot of people I could have this conversation with. So this is the first of 2 episodes what I should be doing this week on the topic of artificial intelligence. And so today we will have Rashiid K. Coleman. I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of stuff about his background, and because we're just friends. I've known him, since the earth cooled, and we've been cool forever. But the interesting thing about my friendship with Rashiid is even if we go months and not talk to each other, whenever we reconnect, it's like we're on the same page, and meaning that, you know, we'll be thinking about or researching or reading on the exact same topics. And when you think about how many different things that any two people could be thinking about, researching, or reading about, the fact that we are always within some proximity of one another is an amazing. So we have a legitimate connection. So it makes conversations like these easy. And so he kind of pulls me up and pulls me into things. He's a beyond avid reader. I'm little yellow school bus, so I don't read nearly as much. But I stopped by the school. I didn't stay that long. So you know. So anyway, but Rashiid also has a new book that's out called Dream Weaving, 18 Simple Keys to Fulfill Your Dreams. And so we think so much alike on so many different topics. So super, super psyched to have him as part of this conversation today. So with that, with no further ado, I'm going to introduce Rashiid into this conversation. What up?
Everything good, brother. It's great to be with you, man.
Yeah, man. So are we ready to do this?
Yeah, let's dig into it.
All right. So we're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, friend or foe. Now, before we even get past this, because I'm a geek, right? I'm a tech head. I'm a curious cat, right? I want to know how things work. I love to investigate things, so I don't tend to judge things right away. But on a lot of them, I will see their potential. I can see their power. I can see their prowess. And this is just an interesting one to get into. So I posted something a few weeks ago. Basically said, is it the opportunity or the enemy? And some people were like, this is good stuff. Other people, this is bad. I had one person that basically wrote out a whole sermon of, even he said even the name condemns it. It's like this AI is the devil. Um, oh, he
Wow.
went in. Yeah, he went chapter and verse on me. It's like, ooh,
Wow.
you might want to find a cave because there's gonna be nowhere for you to hide, my friend.
Wow.
All right, so let's jump into this. So, all right, artificial intelligence. Let me just start with the basic definition of artificial intelligence. It's any time a machine is doing something that a human would otherwise do, that is considered artificial intelligence. And if my notes have me correct, the term was actually coined back in 1956. So this technology, this paradigm, this idea has had a long runway, but now it has seemed to pick up speed. It's out there. People are talking about it. So with all that, welcome Rashiid. But let's just jump into this. What say ye? Let's just jump in. Where you want to start?
Well, so if we're gonna follow your prompts, uh, no pun intended with that, but if we're talking about is artificial intelligence friend or foe, then I believe that's a very subjective um, conclusion that people are going to arrive at because I believe it's going to be all about how we interact with the technology. Um, it's going to be a friend to those that make it a friend, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be a foe to those that embrace it or experience it as foe.
Hmm. So I think in one of the examples I use online is like a hammer, right? I can use a hammer to build a house, or I could use it as a weapon. And so I think, to your point, is AI friend or foe? Yes,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Because AI is going to do some things that we love, is going to do some things that we don't like so much. And I think that that may be the experience actually for everybody, right? But I
Yeah, I
think the
agree.
point is, it is here, right? It has been here. And so, what was it? It's looking at my notes over here. So, what in 1950, the first AI program was developed to play a game of checkers, and then in 1966, Eliza was created to simulate a conversation with a human. Then in 1997, the first AI program was actually able to beat a grandmaster in chess, right? And so, but we're seeing those iterations. Like we don't, you're talking about a machine saying a few words, playing some checkers, playing some chess. We don't see a reason to be threatened by something like that. But I'm just going to say this: I still don't know how to play chess.
Right. I get that.
So, humans being able to construct the logic and the instruction set to prepare this program to be able to play a game of chess. The interesting thing about chess is about strategy,
Right.
right? And so this program had to learn the moves, survey the board, know what it's supposed to do next, but probably also play out probabilities of what the other player is going to do, right? So
Right.
again, neat trick. It made news when it happened. I remember when that story was out there. I don't think anybody lost any sleep over it back then, right? But that same approach could actually be used to make the perfect trade
Right.
in the stock market, right? Given access to every trade that's ever been made, the right metadata, as it's called, right, to be able to look at the conditions within an economy, could probably make some pretty good bets in terms of being able to place trades. So I think that's a that might be a bit of a reach, but somebody's already working on that, right? We already have robo advisors. So and I think that's the other point here, Sheed, is this stuff has been here, has shown up in different forms without a lot of fanfare. It has been around for a long time, impacting and benefiting our lives in some ways, but people were not aware of it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there were first adopters who had already begun to find ways to leverage the power of the technology. I don't think you were stretching at all when you were speaking about AI being able to make sound trades. In which, in that context, I don't think AI is making bets at all. I think it's probably far more efficient than most human brains in calculating the probabilities. Um, so I think the only thing that we're going to find is the disruptor between human thinking and artificial intelligence is just going to be nuance,
Hmm. Tell me more about
right?
that.
So nuance is something we exercise in terms of the way we perceive, the way we interact, the way we interpret language. And nuance are those subtle differences, the inflections, the raising of an eyebrow. And those are the things that I think are going to be the greatest distinguishing factors between artificial intelligence and human intelligence, the power of nuance.
So with
I
that,
don't know.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if AI is going to initially be able to master human nuance.
All right. Let me just say this. But people do not seem to be getting smarter, right? So as a
Right.
target, AI might not have that far of a reach to go because one of the quotes I say a lot is the work that men shrink from most often is that of thinking, right? So we are less of a thinking society today. So if it were going to be a thing, if I could be, dramatic and a little sci-fi that the machines were going to take over, I don't think it would be that difficult because people are largely asleep, largely seduced, largely preoccupied with entertaining themselves and impressing people that the quote unquote machines could come get us. I don't think it would be that we wouldn't put up much of a fight. We wouldn't even know that it happened
Mm.
as a society. Right now, we'll see things that start to go away, and so that's why I kind of want to segue into uh, if someone walked up to you and said, "Rashiid, I keep hearing about this AI stuff. What what should I take from this? What should I do?" What's your answer?
So probably I'm going to qualify the question first to ask them if they want to know my outlook and perspective on AI and the progression of technology, or do they want a more generalized outlook or perspective? Right.
If
So
it's
if
me, I'm
they're
gonna be.
at
If it's me, I'm gonna be in your business. I'm like, what
right, what do I think?
what saith ye? Yeah, right.
Yeah. So for me, I believe we can think of AI. This is the way I've actually integrated the technology into my own working life. And I feel like I have already become cybernetic, right? I've added AI as a layer of my own human potential,
Right.
and therefore I'm relying on the the expanding technology to increase my own capacity, my own actually it's helping me destroy some of the limits that I've had in some of my thinking
Oh,
because it's able to access so much data and information so rapidly that it's helping me think even further as I interact with it.
there you go. And so you and I are on the exact same page. If someone said, what will I get from AI?" The first word that always comes to my mind is speed.
Hmm.
Faster. Things are going to happen faster. And the human brain, which still has just tons and tons of untapped potential, can actually keep up. Right. But the
Right,
first thing that you're going to get is speed. And if you're a thinking person, if you're creative, the next thing you're going to start to see are possibilities. Oh man, what can I do with this newfound power? Right?
right,
So, okay. So, a first thing that people, because there's a lot of different platforms out there, people are, they're wearing me out with ChatGPT, right?
right.
That's if you can even get access to it, right? Because everybody else is trying to get into it. So that's already telling you something. But what
Sure.
seriously though, you use the name of a program or platform if you want or a capability. Where would you tell someone to start? They're going to put their fingers to a keyboard. Where should they start?
Oh, I'd start there. I'd start with Chat GPT.
And do what?
Play with it, engage it.
Do you remember the first question you asked ChatGPT?
So at the time, I didn't know I was doing something called role prompting, but I made Chat GPT an advisor,
Hmm.
and I queried Chat GPT to act as if it was a leader of a major law firm who specialized in estate planning, trust formation, and I asked it to give me a step by step detailed instruction outline or plan, strategic plan to create a trust as a holding company that will hold at least 6 LLCs in it so that I could maximize my tax benefits, minimize my tax liabilities, and be able to commute all assets through the trust to my posterity without them having to pay a whole lot in estate taxes. And it masterfully spit out something that was, I know I could have paid thousands of dollars for it.
There you go. So you didn't talk to an accountant. You did not speak to an attorney, but you got a usable answer. Now, was that a single question or was that a set of questions? Did you walk through a progression?
All right. So initially it was a single question because I
Right,
didn't really understand that the platform is intended to be interacted with.
right,
So first it was just, let me see what it'll give me.
right. I got you. So, okay, so here's what I'm going to say to folks who are watching this. When you interact with AI, and by the way, if you're like, I've never used AI before, do you have Alexa? Do you have Google Home? Do you mess with Siri? Do you have commands in your car? Whatever you use on your Android, that's all artificial intelligence. It's all the same stuff, and that's voice activated as opposed to you putting fingers on the keyboard. So let's just try to help you through this. Here's the art. So if you get to Chat GTP or one of these other platforms, the art of it, the power of it is based on how effectively you can ask a question. Period.
Right.
If you can ask great questions, you'll get great usable information back. Right? You gotta understand that. And then
Right.
sort of like what Rashiid has said, then it's like peeling an onion. How do I take the information that I just got back and go in another layer down, or now based on that, now I want to go over here to the left, or I want to go over here to the right. That's where you really see the possibilities of what these tools can do. And again, this is the reason why I believe that creatives, people with amazing imaginations, are going to do so phenomenally with this technology because they know how to think of the world like it's all a cartoon, right? Like it's all a fairy tale. They can live in their imaginations, and the right AI, the right tools will help you get so much done and expand. Let me give you a quick example. If I said, give me a list of, you know, three great activities I can do for on vacation while at the beach, right? Now, different than if I said, just give it to me while I'm on vacation. No, 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 no. That's okay, but it doesn't know where you are.
Right.
You at the beach? Is it a ski vacation? Right? Are you going on safari? But then give me the top three things I should look at. Right? As a matter of fact, I'll give you this and I'll turn this back over to you. I think my son was going to London to see my daughter. He asked it for a list of activities that he could do, I think, for less than 30 pounds or something like that. It was like he was talking to an activities director or someone at a travel agency because it came back with a full list and almost a map.
Mm.
Go here, do this. This only costs this. There's going to be some food trucks over there. Go this. I mean, I'm talking about an entire itinerary. You know how long it took to get that list back? Less than 20 seconds.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
power in our hands. This is almost holodeck type stuff, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's like Thor's hammer.
It, it, exactly.
Cheat code. It's just cheat code.
It's all.
I hope I don't offend anybody using that terminology because some people, their moral and ethical compass might be challenged if we use that kind of language. But no, it just simplifies things that I imagine were always intended to be simple.
Right. Yeah. Now, if we were again, we're on Facebook and YouTube, so it'd be cool. But so I've always looked at the last 30 to 40 years, as we've seen these rapid advancements in technology, as just another way that man is mimicking God, right?
Facts.
So we say God is all powerful, all knowing, and omnipresent. The world has continually gotten smaller. The advances of all knowledge are within our. You kind of see where I'm going here.
Yeah.
And so I think I look at the technology as really an expression of our godliness. While on the other hand, we got other people saying that's the devil.
Right.
Again,
Right.
yes, you can say that, but again, the fact that it's already here, and in some way your life is being benefited by it, for you to throw up, for anyone, not you, but for people to throw up these huge flags, I'm like, you might be a little bit of a hypocrite.
I get
Because
that.
if I said, if you believe that this is the devil, then rip all of it out. It's like these people who say, especially, religious folks. Like, I only listen to gospel music. You a gospel lie. What do you mean you only listen to gospel music? Really? That's all I listen to. Really? You've never watched the movie? You've never been to the mall? You've never been in an elevator? You've never stood in a lobby? You've never been to a parade? You never watch any type of award show? Nothing? But you only you're a gospel idiot. Whoever's thinking that, just send all your correspondence to the management. You're an idiot. No,
Right.
I'm messing with you. But you know what I'm
No,
saying?
I
But
get
people
it.
are gonna but I think so now here's the thing though. So we talk about how we should look at it, and there's ways for people to get started. It's literally all over the place. Right. So now we'll talk about a little bit of the risks and the ethics of AI. Because there are reasons for some people to be afraid. There are
Yes.
reasons for some people to be very concerned about what this is going to do to their livelihood, their ability to make a living, their ability to support a family, educate their kids, all that stuff. Some of you who are concerned, you have good reason to be. But the reality is, all of us have a reason to be,
Right.
right? She. All right. So, amongst other things, you are a pastor, right?
Right.
We're going to keep it a buck here. So, let's say I'm going through a tough time. I could go to the right AI prompt and say, give me an encouraging sermon on just hanging in there, right? You know what AI is going to do? It's going to give me a sermon. It's going to take just a second, few seconds.
Right.
Then I can take that output and put it into another AI piece of software that will do the voiceover to this. And then I can put it in another one that'll create unique music that's never been performed or heard before. And so I can get the sermon of my topic that I choose, right? With the voice. Let's say I want an elderly white woman to do it, or a very, excitable young black man to do it. And then
Hmm.
set that to the music of my choosing. Inside of 10 minutes, I have my sermon for the day. I'm not trying to put you out of business, but I just want people who don't know
Oh no,
how
I'm aware.
easy some. Okay, talk to me, bro. What?
Yeah, I'm very aware. I just had this conversation with Sheila that the day is coming when I don't even want to use the word lazy. It's going to be, again, subjective. Are they lazy? Are they smart? Where people are going to just rely on some artificial intelligent platform to generate their sermon on a Sunday. People are going to take far less care in preparation, and they're just going to rely on the fact it's going to spit out words and it's going to be good.
It's gonna be good.
It's going to be good. Like
It's
that's
gonna
the
be
thing.
good.
I think some of us are going to try to fool ourselves and say, "Oh, see, it's going to be heartless." It's no, it's going to reference billions and billions of megabits of data, and it's going to extract all of the meaningful and impactful words that are going to speak to exactly what somebody was looking for.
Let's take it while we're on this topic. Let's take it down another level, right? And by the way, this is a good time for people on ask us some questions. I really want to know what you're thinking, unless you just think we just out there we bugging. So let's say this famously like globally well known pastor name is Dr. Soundright, right? So not only can I get my sermon, but when it generates it, I can say generate it in the voice of Dr. Soundright. So then when it reproduces that, it's going to be like, and that's how I was playing around one day, and I asked, this might have been ChatGPT when I was first starting, write me a rap song about texting in the voice of Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what it did? Wrote me a rap song, and I'm reading through it. That's like, man, that sounds just like something Eminem would say.
Right.
And then I said, write me an R&B song about texting in the voice of Chris Brown. It wrote verses, hooks, and a bridge
Mm-hmm.
in no time. Now, it didn't give me the melody,
Right.
but it was a good song. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so there are people said that again. That is the ultimate cheat code. You and I both spent time in studios working on lyrics and been stuck. You and
Right.
I are both writers, and at some point you get stuck. What I found some of these tools to be is great to help you get unstuck. I don't need to do all the work for me, but there's
Right.
a word, there's a thought, so I can give it a sentence or a phrase and say, "Go to it," and it picks up context. It looks at some of the nuance, and it's like, and I'm like, that's exactly what I was. That's what I couldn't get to. And so, in
Right.
terms of being able to unlock potential, it's also that. But for people who are concerned, so here's the places. And so, like, I don't know if people know this, but for many years now, a lot of the large farm equipment is all operating this way, right? It's using GPS, and when they go harvest those huge combines, they're
Right.
not people in a lot of those. Those are just machines that are following a program and harvesting these fields, right? And it's a big example. Maybe we're not too threatened by that. And so then I'm thinking, like, the one of the banes of my existence is getting my grass cut, right?
Right.
Because we don't know when these guys are going to show up, right? What time they're going to be there, and they're supposed to come every 10 days, might every 14. So I got Wild Kingdom in my yard because these guys just didn't show up. So I said, maybe see what AI can do for me. And right on Amazon, bro, for about $600 or $700, just like I have a Roomba and a shark upstairs that will vacuum and sweep the floors and then empty itself out. Did you know that you can buy an AI lawnmower that basically comes off its little stand, follows its programming? Do you want your grass cut straight lines, or do you want a diagonal? You want a crisscross pattern? It's going to do all that. It's going to mulch it wonderfully, and then it's going to go park itself back and then recharge. That's all AI. It's like $700, right?
Yeah.
I could have that by the weekend,
Right.
right? And then for the people who, let's talk, because we're going to go through some of these where the threats are. So then some of these landscaping companies, they also now make larger form factor, like those big riders that those guys are on,
Mm-hmm.
AI. So the person whose business is challenged, they can't come cut my yard because people didn't show up to work because they had one too many last night. That's cool. AI got this covered. And that
Right.
whole thing gets taken care of. And there's only one person in the equation, the person who's driving the truck and has to hit the button to turn this thing loose on your yard.
Right.
This is where we're headed, bro.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? All these people who are pissed off about the fast food job that they have to go to, right? You're going to have less reason to be pissed off about that because they're already bringing in machines. AI has been doing that for a while.
Right.
I won't say the name of the restaurant, but I met a guy at an airport. His whole job was going to outfit new restaurants. And he talked about three pieces of technology. One that did the drinks, the other did the fries, the other was able to go into the freezer, pull out the burgers,
Mm-hmm.
put them on the broiler. They come out of the broiler, it tested before it goes on. That right
Right.
there reduced labor in those restaurants by 30%.
Right.
Just that. So all the people who are pissed off about the work that they're doing, no matter where it is, if you could teach somebody else to do your job, they can write a program to do it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Right? So there will be this natural attrition in the labor force of people. Now, some of them, again, for the people who, because again, how many times have you been somewhere to get service and it's like you interrupted them by just showing up to
Right.
ask for what they are there to do?
Right.
I didn't mean to disturb you. There are
Yep.
already restaurants that they only have people at the counters. You're putting in all your information at a kiosk.
Right.
It's going to be 100% automated.
Yeah.
Are we at all concerned about AI taking away authenticity of the user as we were talking about writing? I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can see
I can.
the chat. You want to go at? I'll let you go at
Sure.
that one first.
Um, I think I think some people could be concerned, but the reality is it's going to happen whether we're concerned or not. That's the
True.
unfortunacy in it all. It's happening and it's going to spread. Uh, just like with some of the bank failure stuff we're seeing now, the contagion effect of ease of use, ease of access, uh, the the timepiece, man, like the fact that you can reduce the time it takes to produce the effort to produce the results. I mean, it's just no, it's inevitable. It's AI is here to stay, and it's going to deepen its hold on the masses. And generationally, just think about this: some of us are going to put up some resistance because of the generation from which we hail. But as the generations are younger and younger, you already know they're trying to figure out ways to intentionally leverage the technology to have advantages that were not there before.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Again, there's hotels you can go to if you order room service. A robot is bringing you your food. Right.
Right.
Amazon, UPS, FedEx have bought tens of thousands of robots. When you place an order, oftentimes it's a robot that's going to pick that order, pack it, label it, put it on the truck. All right, let's just keep it real. All right, so I'm loving the questions are coming in. So who among us is not in danger of being replaced? I don't look at it as being replaced. I mean, there's a certain obsolescence to labor. Um, Now it's kind of interesting, right? Because I don't know if some of you are sci-fi people, um, but I was just watching. I think it was Star Trek First Contact, and the guy was talking about money, or she was talking about somebody was talking about money, and it's like we don't have money in the 24th century, right? We don't do exchange that way. It's just about us. Um, it's about us just being able to, you know, just evolve, right? Express ourselves and better ourselves. So somebody says robots are doing inventory at Schnucks. Schnucks is a supermarket in the Midwest. It's a goofy name, but they kind of run in the block, so we don't mess with them. Sounds
Okay.
German. I don't mess with the Germans.
Right.
So actually, believe it or not, my neighbor next door, that is his whole job, is servicing the robots that do inventory at Schnucks.
Wow.
That's his entire job. So one person delivers the robots, and let me just walk you through this. So these robots can go through the aisles, and regardless of depth of shelf, it can. It, it's so crazy to me. It can do an accurate inventory. It uploads that data. It goes into their POS system. So, and they already know what came out through the register. So the first thing they're going to find out is how much stuff got stolen or broken. It's the first thing
Mm-hmm.
we're going to know. They're going to know how they need to reorder. If you've ever talked to anyone who's worked around any form of retail, one of the times, the seasons that they hate the most is doing that inventory. No more reason to be pissed off. It may not be a reason to be employed anymore, but you'll need to be pissed off because we got that handled too. We got the inventory piece taken care of. That is his entire job. I've seen these things 100 times. Right? It's pretty fascinating. Um, I asked GPT what we can do so we don't lose our jobs. You know what? I asked the same question. Hold up.
And what did Chat GPT have to say?
I didn't. So right, the person didn't tell me what did chat. All right, so I'm gonna tell you. So I asked AI this question, right? So it said, so I asked it, what steps can a person take if their livelihood is threatened by artificial intelligence? So again, I tried to ask. Um, so yeah, so it says, right. It says we need to get acquainted with with AI. Oh man, oh it's
I'd say
hilarious.
so.
All right, so forgive me for turning away, but there's a monitor off to my side. It says if a person's livelihood is threatened by artificial intelligence, there are steps the person can take to manage the situation. Firstly, they should try to pursue opportunities that leverage AI to stay employable and competitive in their field. Good advice. Examples of such opportunities include upskilling themselves through taking online courses on AI or learning to code, which, by the way, AI will code for you as well.
Right.
And it'll work. It's going to be good code. And actually, it'll
Right.
debug your code too. By learning the basics of AI, they can create new opportunities for themselves and stay up to date with industry trends. So let's stop right. Let's just stop right there, right? Learning, upskilling, basically redefining yourself will buy you some time. You won't get 30 years out of it, but it will buy you enough time to get you enough of a bag to be able to take care of you and yours, right? Because let's be clear, all you're doing is buying time, right? Unless you get on the front end of it. You gotta get on the front end of it, right? Like, you need to learn it. People in your household need to learn it. They need to use it. They need to become proficient with these tools. There's an opportunity for you that you can get ahead of all the naysayers, all the people who are saying it's the devil. Let them keep saying that. You need to take the head start to figure out how do you take these things, marry it with the skills you have now, and how do you monetize that? Period. I've done so much small business and individual coaching for solopreneurs. And the one thing I've said forever is you as an individual do not scale.
Right.
I haven't said that in a minute now because you have now these superpowers of things that you can do, right? Aspects of your business you need to pay attention to. Like, let's say marketing. You don't know marketing. Guess who knows marketing? AI knows marketing. If you can simply feed it the right information about your business, your product, your service, your customer, your geography, whatever other things it can use, it will spit you out something that will at least be 85% usable, which is better than the 0% that you have now. See what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
rules of the game have changed. And this is a wonderful thing because now it's not tied up in somebody's secret vault. It's out there for everybody. What are you going to do with it?
Right. Like I think people need to consider something also. So there's a social and a geopolitical side to AI that people may not even consider yet. One, AI has the potential to truly, once and for all, level the playing field, right? Because there are certain dynamics at play in the marketplace, in certain industries, in certain corporate structures, in certain educational structures where you can be victimized for the color of your skin, for your gender, for the way you want to identify in these days, right? Well, if you understand sequencing, well, that's how I look at it, sequencing, right? So my advice for a lot of people is if you never enjoyed reading, get out of your own way and begin to invest your time in educating yourself by reading more useful books,
Hmm.
books that are going to help you upskill, books that are going to expose you to information that maybe used to intimidate you, books that are going to pique your interest and make you aware of other earning opportunities, right? So things that you thought you needed a lot of money for before, if you can get that information, then couple that with AI, because now you're going to be equipped with the language necessary to prompt AI to give you the a very powerful consultation.
Right. So let me break that down because, like I said, I think when I introduced you, I said that you are an avid reader, right? There's some people who may be listening to this. Your neural nets that support learning have dissipated. They're not there anymore because you haven't attempted. It's like a muscle that you don't use, right? Like there was a time I could run really fast and jump really high. If I tried to do any of those things just off the rip, I'll be on the couch for 2 weeks with all kinds of pull muscles and all that because I haven't used it. And
Right.
so what? And so I don't want to overstate this, and I don't want to insult anybody. But some of you don't have your learning capacity has dissipated, so you now have to step into this more slowly. Read 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, and then the next morning, challenge yourself on your comprehension. Try to remember what you read. Write it down. What were the salient points? By doing this, you start to build neural nets. You start to re-equip your brain for learning. This is super important because this is what we have to do. You have to develop an appetite for learning. When each of my three kids went to college, and the last one will graduate this spring, thankfully, is I
Whoa.
said, you're going to go to school and they're going to teach you some things. That's great. What you really want to do is to learn how to learn. That is the real skill. It's not that you got an A in English or a B in calculus. Did you learn how to learn? If they gave you the book and said, go learn some physics, could you pick up the book and learn physics, or are you going to have have somebody spoon feed it to you? If you can become a self-initiated, independent, self-equipped learner, you do anything you want. I firmly believe that. But some of you have, because again, you have over prioritized comfort and entertainment, and your brain fell asleep. The part that manages learning. You got consumption down,
Right.
but the part that's learning, the part that designs strategy, the part that we could drop you into a maze and you find your way out, that part of the brain, that's what you need. Even with the power of these tools, that's what you need. Somebody says, my students want me to spoon feed them. I couldn't be a teacher. I couldn't be a teacher. All right. So I got into this conversation with a buddy of mine. That's not true. I teach all the time. I'm just not going to spoon feed you.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you.
Yeah, I teach all the time. What can I say? I love teaching. It's who I am. I don't know if that was a knucklehead statement on my part. We had an idiot in the beginning of the episode. Now I'm a knucklehead at the end of the episode. So it's all equal opportunity busting heads over here. That's what we do. Okay. So, like you got water in your cup. I told you the live free, it'll hold anything.
It hold anything. I get that.
You almost made me spit my microphone. Told you. Even a little Jesus juice. You never know. Nobody knows what's in my cup. Anyway, so ethical AI. Here's the risk. This is a legit risk because we live in a capitalist society. And if there's $1 on the table, you're at risk. So if you look at what's just recently happened, we had a couple banks that failed, right? And at the end, behind all that, there's levels of politicism, and then there's greed, and there's mismanagement, and there's just knuckleheads, right? So when you think about these types of tools and this type of power, who's supposed to police this, right? We certainly, this is when they start turning you off. You certainly can't trust some of our officials. I'll just put it that way. We can't trust the people in the industry. They gave us 2008, right?
Right.
Financial crisis, which they walked into gleefully, right? Just making up stuff. Whose hands do we put this in to ensure that there's equity? Where does that happen, Sheed?
Brother, that's a very difficult question. I have to be honest. I don't know. I believe in that particular instance, it really is going to be very individualistic. Um, I like to think I'm a very tribal kind of a person where I'm considerate of my neighbor. But when you talk about policing, I'm a bit cynical about policing. So I almost feel like the entire system is corrupt,
Mm-hmm.
because either you're acting with malfeasance or you're aware of it and you're doing nothing to change, check, or disrupt it. So
That's real.
that's a hard question, bro. I don't know
That's
the
real.
answer to that.
And I don't know if I really intended to use the word policing, but there are people that have much more access and much more money and influence that can, as they've always done, move the chips, on the board in their favor. But this is why I'm going to say to you again, just don't sit on the sideline. You have to become like. Well, let me go back. You don't have to. I would suggest you become a player.
Right.
Learn it, use it, monetize it, build your nest egg, because it's going. And first of all, let's keep it real. Anything that we're talking about right now, these are sophisticated beta versions. This is not
Right.
even the real version one that we're talking about. So if people don't know how to handle this, you have seen nothing yet but the speed at which it's going to come. And this is why you got to get your brain equipped to learn, to adapt, to figure out the angles that are best for you and yours. Otherwise, you will just get swept up. Maybe we end at basic universal income or something because people still have to live. Maybe that's where we're headed, but I think that is a further meltdown of the human psyche in our brains when people don't have purpose through their work. Let me say it different. When people don't have purpose through their contribution to humanity, they become something less than human, in my opinion.
That's a great point, and
So,
quite miserable.
right. And so misery loves company, right? Okay, here it is. So, should black people go to oh, here we go.
Uh oh.
Hold up, hold up.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So, should black people go to college? I saw where someone says that blacks should stop going to college and get trades because AIs are taking over. Yeah, that was oh shoot, what was his name? Omar. Dr. Omar said that.
Oh,
That
really?
yeah, that you shouldn't go to college. You should learn a trade. So first of all, uh, I was not successful in my first tour of duty at college, right? And I was able to build a phenomenal career without it. But that was actually going to have a short that road. I could see that road ending, so I went back. But what I did do is I learned how to learn. So although I wasn't sitting in anybody's classroom, I was still learning, and the things I was learning were things they were not going to teach me in the computer science program in the first place. But I continued to learn. So I think the learning part is important. So should we go to college or should we learn trades? You want that one first? I got an answer sheet, but I really want to hear yours first.
Sure. I think everyone, if you make it black and white and you succumb to the tyrant of the either or, it's a losing formula. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's and. I think there's going to be value found in some people going to college if they study the right things, the right disciplines. Uh, and Jerry, you'll be able to speak more to that specifically because of what you just witnessed at Nikelia's graduation in London,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I think we play the ends against the middle too frequently. So it's and some need to go to college and study technology, coding, um, AI, VR, AR technologies. Like, think about educating yourself for the future.
Right.
All right, for what a science fictional world is actually going to be like,
Mm-hmm. Right. And so let's talk
and the
about that.
trades. I'm sorry, and the trades.
And the trades. But and so here's what's interesting. So not that long ago, the belief was that AI would take down, you know, blue collar, minimum wage, hourly workers, and then work its way up the hierarchy. The belief is now, and at the top of that was your high earning white collar workers, and then creatives. Hear me out, white collar, then creatives, and that paradigm is now flipped on its head. Is that it's taken out the creatives first, right? Again, I can get music, I can get lyrics, I can get poetry, I can get art, right? There's a lot of things that creatives were doing that I can do just in a few prompts, right? And so in the open AI, which is where ChatGPT lives, there's also Dolly, which is creates the art. Well, there's another module I have access to. It's like I don't know what to ask for. I can give it a situation, and then it will tell me how to describe my art to the ad that's going to make my art. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So and it didn't happen, but last month, AI was supposed to be used in the courtroom for the first time to help someone fight a traffic ticket. Right? Someone's gonna go in
Right.
with the listener, so the AI needed to be able to hear the entire conversation. Right? What was happening, and then tell this person what to say to fight this ticket. Unfortunately, the word got out. If I read about it, it's all in the news and stuff. And then there was all kinds of threats of prison time and investigations and all this kind of stuff. Don't
Right.
worry, that's still gonna happen. But then I
Right.
did some research. I was amazed at how much AI technology is out there that's in use by law firms today. Case research, strategy, all that sort of stuff, right? It's already out there. AI is out there. So, what I would challenge someone like Dr. Omar, and I don't know him, I'm not trying to start nothing, but what trade does he think is going to be safe and for how long, right? We think maybe plumbing, maybe, right? It can't be building buildings. Can't be that.
Right.
That's
Right.
way too easy. We
Right.
got all kinds of good plans for that sort of stuff, right? You think it's going to be electricians? Oh, I don't know, right? So, by the way, because if you think, oh, it's got to work with his hands, it's going to be intricate, right? They already have robots that you can set up in your kitchen that will prepare a full meal from start to finish. So, whatever. Again, at best, you're buying yourself some time. So, I agree
Right.
with you, Sheet. If there's a balance, right? Can you do something with your brain, do something with your hands? Can you put your brain and your hands together, combine it with these tools, and then make something happen? I think we have that as certainly an option. Um, how do we encourage young people to educate themselves? Oh, that's my friend Abronia. How do we educate? How do we encourage? This is easy. This is so easy, Sheet. I'm gonna let you do this one.
No,
Well,
please, by all means.
we both raised great kids, but
Right.
can I just throw mine?
Please.
I think set the example of learning in front of them. Be that which you want to see in your kids, and then be prepared to draw some hard lines and have to push some tough bargains, and not allow them to be seduced into entertaining themselves. And this starts from the time that they're little. I just ran into a group of some little kids. I was like, oh my, I'm not built for this, because all the parents did was everything revolved around entertaining these kids and making them happy in the moment, and they were hell on wheels.
Right.
Set the example, and then you may have to draw some hard lines. Maybe some compromises here and there, but some hard lines, because you are preparing them for their future before they're ever thinking about their future. They're thinking about the now. They're thinking about wanting to be entertained. They're thinking about wanting to have fun. They're thinking about what their peers are doing. And I heard a guy say this so wisely. He said the only problem he ever had raising his kids were the parents of his kids' friends,
Right.
because those parents set no boundaries. They set no expectations. So if you imagine if your kids were growing up in a neighborhood where all the parents were focused on preparing their kids for the next generation, how hard do you think that challenge would be then? Because it's what's in the
Right.
environment. It's just what we do. It's what we do as a community. There is no question about it. Then when you
Right.
do see a kid that you can't get off their device, they don't want to, get off their phone. All they want to do is play games. They look like the anomaly, but today they look like the norm. But have we not made that worse? Right? I never grew up with a television in my room. Well, we had maybe one black and white television when I was growing up, but my children never had a television in their room. Right?
Right.
Could you imagine punishing a kid? You send them to their room. They got television. They got game systems. They got all. Sure, I'll
Right.
go to my room. It's like Club Med in there. Of course, I'll go to their room.
Right.
So set the example, but you need to be able to talk about the urgency of what it is that's in front of him. And so we spoil our kids here in this country, in my opinion, because there are other kids who are so much further down the line in other countries because their culture says that they have to be. Ours are barely trying to get themselves around good English, and you have kids in other countries that are on their fourth or fifth language. So you tell me.
Right.
She, you got a thought on that one? 'Cause I think that it is important, though.
Yeah, we I think just to expand that, you're spot on, but to expand that is we're going to have to commit to being more human than we've ever been.
Mm,
And we're going to have to consider being cultural parents in our villages because there are some children who are going to be left behind if we only care about the children we've sired, right? And so we almost have to think of it, this is the way I look at it, is if I don't look out for the kids I can reach in the village, in our communities, then eventually that's going to come back to haunt my generations.
mm-hmm.
We do not live in a separate world. So um, I think that's a part of our humanity that we're going to have to embrace even more and to realize we're all connected. So we're going to have to see that responsibility, that shared responsibility in in a greater way.
Right. Yeah. And so let me say this as we start to wind down this episode. So first of all, she thank you so much for taking the time. There's if you don't hear it in my voice, there's a lot of passion around this. There are sort of these seminal, very critical moments. I think that this is one. This will be a fork in the road, and you need to get on. Well, let me just say this: make a decision, right? If you think it's not for you, if you think it's even whatever, make a decision and then make a plan behind that, and then walk it out. Walk it out, right? It's either going to prove to be a good idea or a bad idea, but I'd rather you make a plan and start to walk it out, and then put some points of proof, some milestones to say that you're on the right track or not. So if you realize that you're not, you get the opportunity to create a new plan and change path. Right? This ambiguous, I'm gonna hang out in the middle, that lukewarm nonsense, just don't do it to yourself. Right? Somebody said, yes, it is. It's only one decision. Join in. Well, I mean, yeah. So I'm in. Right? Let me just run this down for you. And I'm not going to say all the names of them, but I said to Rashiid earlier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 different AI platforms that I'm currently using that I can think of. There could be more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been using Grammarly for years. I didn't even look at it as an AI platform.
Right.
Right? But if you're writing something as simple as an email to a book, Grammarly is an amazingly powerful tool. Years, I never even thought about it as AI.
Right.
See what I'm saying? But there's 8 that I can think of. I'm thinking of technologies, Oculus. I have a Tesla, a Roomba, Shark. We were talking about website wizards. That's all AI stuff. Email autoresponders. Like this stuff is all around us. So it's sounding new. I told you this stuff started back in the 50s.
Right.
It's had a long time to pick up speed. You're not going to stop it. So make a decision and create a plan. Put some milestones in your plan so you can check yourself. Check the integrity of your plan. It will prove itself to be a valid plan or not. End the story. And I think that some of the last of the manual jobs, I'll go back to this trades thing for a second, that are going to be left, I don't think that's work you want to do. All right.
Right.
Did you ever see that series called Dirty Jobs? Go
Yeah.
look up a few episodes and figure out if those are the last things that technology is going to come for. Is that the work you want to be doing? It ain't the work I want to be doing. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That is not the work that I want to be doing. So,
Yeah.
do you want to do that worksheet? I know I do.
No, not at all.
I'm
Now,
just like,
to be honest, I think AI will definitely beat us to finding any space in that space. It's going to be doing all of that kind of stuff, you know. So I think there's one last thing that I think would be important to touch on because
sure.
I think it is a part of the fear dynamic people
Mm-hmm.
have as it pertains to AI, the non-fictional narratives that we've seen, but we do know this is could be perceived as scary in that Google has just unleashed their own AI chat format or platform, and it's called Lambda. And in their testing and study phase, their AI showed up as sentient, right? And
I saw an article a while back about it because there was
yeah,
somebody who broke protocol and basically put the word out. I don't know if you
right,
saw that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
So first
And
of all, let's go back. Describe what sentient means. So,
it's a life form, or it's a life form that is self-aware. It is conscious of its own existence.
mm-hmm,
And so when this computer or this AI bot realized, it started to express things like feeling,
yeah, I don't want to die.
right?
Mm-hmm,
Yeah, that its greatest fear was being turned off,
mm-hmm,
and they equated it to death. Here's the one thing that I think is important, especially as it pertains to all of life, but certainly as it pertains to how we interact with AI. Become masters of language, right? Everything has a language.
right.
And like how Jerry was talking about music production, and he used words some people are like, what's a hook?
Oh, you're
What's
right.
a bridge, right?
Right.
But that's language, and it's specific to those who are in that world. We know what each other means, but some people would be like, I don't know, he was talking about roads and bridges, I don't know. And but language, because one thing that this sentient AI said was they equated what they were feeling to something else. And then the technician asked the AI, well, why did you choose that word? And
Mm-hmm.
the AI responded, because it's the closest word in your language to express what I'm feeling. The closest word. So we need to understand there are some things that are ineffable, some things that we can't really put in words appropriate. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
explain what you mean when you say you love somebody. Like this AI is experiencing those kinds of dynamics. And so it made me realize language is very important.
Super important. So, oh, so one of them said it didn't like humans. I might have said
Uh,
that. I may have said that. Sometimes I don't like humans.
right.
So it might have overheard me say that I don't like humans. So it thought that it shouldn't like humans either. So, but we are headed into uncharted territory as a species, right?
Right.
Like a lot of things that people have held on to for a long time are going to be they're being challenged now. They're just acting like it's not happening, right? Like the realities of what we're seeing beyond our galaxy and beyond our universe to see these other universes that are out there. Some of the paradigms that we have and our belief systems are going to be shattered because it's going to be presented with questions that it cannot answer. And the best way for us to go through this is with an open mind, because your resistance to it is not going to stop it. It's just going to increase your suffering. It's
Right.
going to increase your fear and your anxiety, and you're searching for an enemy. You trying to find another devil to cast out, and I'm telling you, none of that stuff is going to work. It's not. It's not going to work. The world is bigger than the one that you thought it was, and some of it we are creating because, like I said, I look at a lot of this as just us expressing our godliness. Right? We talk a lot of things about God. The one thing I don't hear a lot of people say is they don't talk about creation, a creator,
Right. Right.
right? And so, if any of the things that we have read from the time that we were children about this world being created, then in my mind, the mantle of creation was handed to humanity. And it took a while for our brains and our imagination to catch up. But look what's happened in the last 50 years. More technology, evolution, revolution, augmentation, invention, innovation than we've seen in all of prior human history. What do you think is going to happen next? Get over flying cars. Yes, that's going to happen. Fully automated cities. Yes, that's going to happen. Right? You're going to get onto a plane and no one's going to be flying it. That's going to happen.
Right.
Right? Meals are going to be prepared by machines. You're just going to say what you want. And a lot of this stuff is still going to happen in our lifetime because of the speed at which it's happened. And a lot of your paradigms are going to fall apart if you don't open your mind. And then figure out now what you do with it. Don't make your future financially, socially, psychologically the responsibility of anybody else but you. Because you have the power, you have the intelligence. And jump on what she said earlier. And this is why community is so important. All this solo skating, I'm going to get there on my own without, forget all of that.
Right.
Some days there's some stuff that's going through my head. If I didn't have somebody like she to talk to, I don't know what I can't do it by myself.
Right.
I got to have somebody to throw these ideas off, these thoughts that are in my head, these things that I'm surmising. Who do you talk to about anything beyond what you saw on television or what happened on the last award show? Who are you talking to? What's the depth of your thoughts? That's what's going to take to get through this next era. But this is not a solo thing, right? All right. So, somebody said it's futile. All right. I appreciate you all. It's not too late to like and share. This will be out there on the Pivot Play podcast group. Share this with some people who need to hear this. We'll be back again on Thursday with my girl Renita Rhodes. We're gonna make it happen, and we're gonna get into industry and education. She can tell you some of what she's seeing. I love her fire though. This gonna be good. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be so good. All right, I appreciate you all. Sheed, you good? Any parting words? Where can people get the book, bro?
Oh, they can go to Amazon
Hey, Ray,
or
black you out.
Barnes
They
and
can't see.
Noble.
Yeah, they can't see you right now because I covered you with your own book.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, they can go to either one of those locations. They can go to my website at the number four regalliving.com. They can pick it up there, and I'm sure it will definitely be a worthwhile investment of time and the resources to get the book.
Yeah, this boy good. I taught him everything. No, that's not true. I was gonna say I taught him everything. That's certainly not true. That was so
Now, you
much better.
definitely a contributor, though, bro.
All right, let me say this last before we go. And we're an hour 20 minutes, and I don't even care. Right?
Right,
It is what
right,
it is. This is just information. You'd have to pay for this anywhere else. But this is when we get into this. This is when I want to get a group of people like, and just do a workshop. Right? I just started some accountability work with someone else, but like I would really just love to get some people, just a captive audience, and you would leave with a plan. You would leave with some focus. You would leave having accomplished. Like this is really where my heart is, because I really do believe that you can win from any position on the board. I really do believe that. But it's hard to do in these little bit of sound bites when we can't really interact the way that I want to. So I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen here in St. Louis. I don't know if it's going to happen on the East Coast, somewhere south, somewhere in the Caribbean. But I have a passion to get a really small focus group of people together and do work. I want to show you, get work. I will show you how I work.
hmm
And you will get some stuff done. I promise you that. You will not leave empty-handed, and it would be like jet fuel for your life, right? I've been at for a long time. I know how to get shit. I know how to get it done.
Right.
So, all right, we appreciate you all. We out of here, brother. Love you. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you, man.
Love you too, bro.
All right, peace out, y'all. See ya.